Hey tribe, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to give an example, and this example is going to be how to get a job when you don't have a job. You're kind of in that gunk phase, you know what I mean? And a lot of us experience when you're in that gunk phase, like you need a job, but you don't have a job, it seems like it's harder to actually manifest a job or get a job. So I'm going to give you some key pointers here. We're going to talk about it in a manifesting way, like what's really going on and how to get a job quicker. You understand what I'm saying? But then what we're going to do near the end of the video, I'm going to flip it and we're going to talk about how it relates to manifesting, because this is a wonderful example of what really holds people back in manifesting. Even if it's not a job scenario, the same thing is happening no matter what you apply it to. So other than that, friends, let's get rocking and rolling. I'm in the kitchen, by the way. I don't feel like sitting. I've been sitting for a long time. So the light might be a little bit weird here, but just bear with me. But anyway, most of us, even if you're not in this phase right now, let me get that notification off there. Even if you're not in this phase right now, a lot of us have dealt with this scenario I'm talking about. Okay, a lot of us have experienced it. Now, sometimes I do have friends that haven't experienced it. You know, there are people out there that they have a job and they interview for a job while they have a job, so they just jump from job to job to job. They've never been unemployed. I do have friends like that. Okay, but I'm talking specifically, you're in this gunk phase. And the gunk phase is this, like, no matter why you're unemployed, okay, no matter if you got laid off, you quit, you got fired, whatever the reason is that, isn't it weird how, like, when you don't have, it's flipping harder than hell to get a job. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what to do specifically to help you manifest a job, get a job quicker, because you are doing things. You're doing things backwards. Okay. So what would I do? Okay. If I'm in that situation, and I have been, okay, so I know what we're talking about here, is this is what you need to do. Okay. If you don't have a job and you've been in this gunk phase for a while, okay, so sometimes you think, oh, I'll get a job in a week or two. Next thing you know, it's a month later. You still don't have a job. Next time it's like 2 months later, and you start getting flipping worried. You're just like, hell, I got rent to pay, mortgage to pay, I got car payments, I got kids, I got a significant other, I got credit cards, I got all this stuff. So stress starts to set in when you don't have a job, okay? Or it takes longer to get a job, okay? So there's two things here I want you to do. The first thing here is you gotta act normal. What do I mean by that? But Chad, what do you mean you have to act normal? Okay, you have to act like you already have a job. Okay, let me give you some examples. Okay, let's say when you have a job, let's say you work first shift, you go to work at 8 o'clock, you work from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, something like that. So what is your routine? See, that's what I mean by normal. You got to stay with your routine. You can't change things, okay? Because listen, once you start changing things, that's when your feeling state changes. That's when you start acting like you don't have, you need, scarcity sets in, worry, doubt, and fear sets in, because you're changing your routine. You can't change, okay? So for example, if you wake up at 6 a.m. every single day, Monday through Friday, to get ready for work, you need to keep that same schedule when you don't have. Okay, you wake up at 6 a.m. every single day. If you wake up, like with me, if I wake up and I walk over here and I make my coffee, maybe I sit over here. This is my favorite right now. This is my favorite spot to have coffee and donuts. Okay, and maybe that's what I do every morning. And then I take a shower, get dressed, get ready to go to work. That's what you got to do when you don't have a job. You got to keep your same schedule like you already have. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. What do you do on a weekend when you normally have a job? You got to keep that schedule. Okay. If you sleep in, whatever, you got to keep that schedule. Let's dig a little bit deeper. The roosters are or cockadoo and doing right here. And I'm right by the windows here, so you can see. That's why I'm constantly moving the camera, because let's go in here in the living room, but it's kind of loud in the kitchen. We got the roosters going on and stuff like that. Sorry about that, but let me turn on some lights so we can improve the lighting a little bit. Maybe I turned on the wrong one. Something like, yeah, there it goes. There it goes. A little bit better. Let's sit out here. Lucky's taking a little cat nap there. So let's sit down. Okay. Okay, we got my stuff over there, like a luggage. Okay. So now, what else would I do? Okay, you keep your same schedule. You keep your same schedule on the weekend. It's the same thing. Let's say when you have a job, every morning at 10 a.m., you go grab a coffee. You go to your favorite coffee shop. You go to Starbucks, whatever. You still do that, baby. Let's say when you have a job, you only check your email twice a day. You still do that. You only check your email twice a day. Okay, you see what I'm doing? I'm acting like I already have. Okay, because that's what you would be doing if you already had a job and you're looking for a new one. Okay, you're still going to work. You're still doing the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? The second thing I want you to do is keep with your standards and boundaries and non-negotiables. Okay, lots of times what happens when we don't have a job, we look for a job, we lower our standards and boundaries. Okay, that what type of job we're going to take. We get needy. We accept things beneath our salaries, beneath how much we want to make, how much we want to pay. We're go through an interview, and sometimes the interviewee is rude to us during the interview, and we sit there and put up with it. We're like, because you're in that needy state, you're giving off that needy energy. You understand what I'm saying? You got to keep with your same standards, boundaries, and non-negotiables. Okay? Let me switch. That's loud through that window. Now, I do have good mics. Okay? It's more me because I feel like I got to talk over the loud sounds. And there's the lighting pretty good over here. Okay? So with number 2, with standards and boundaries, okay, listen to this. How would you act if you already have a job and you're going through an interview? What would your standards and boundaries be? Like, would you accept, okay, if you already have a job, would you accept a job beneath your pay? Probably 99% of the time you wouldn't. The only way you probably would, if it's like the top place to work in your city, you always wanted to work there, that's your foot in the door. That's the only way you would do that. But 99% of the time you wouldn't. Okay? Now, if you already have a job and you're going through an interview and the person interviewing you is rude and being a bully through the interview, are you going to put up with it? Probably not. Okay, I've done that, guys. I've been in interviews where the HR person is being rude with me, and I just basically stop her and say, hey, look, I'm going through this interview. Okay, but I'm treating you with respect. I would take it that you talk to me with respect. You understand? And if she flips back, I just end the interview. I was like, I'm sorry, this place isn't for me. You're being rude with me, talking down to me, stuff like that. So I've already made my decision, and I'm just going to end this interview. And I've been really surprised, like when I've said this in interviews, that they start backpedaling. They'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, no, I didn't mean anything. No, let's continue with the interview. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but you just basically gave me a mirror of how it's going to be like working there. So I'm going to end this interview. That way I'm not wasting your time. You're not wasting my time. And I end the interview. Okay. Listen, that's what you would do if you already had a job. You're not going to put up with it. Okay. If you already have a job and you have an interview and you say, how much is the hourly rate? How much is the salary? And they tell you, if it's beneath what you already make, you're going to end the interview like that. You're just going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I already make this. It doesn't make sense to move forward. And then you both just kind of part your ways. That's what you would actually do. Okay, you got to remain with those high standards and boundaries and non-negotiables that you have. You can't lower your standard, okay? Okay, now, number 3, while we're going back in the kitchen, the birds are chirping up here. I know you can't hear it, but it's like, where can I go? Okay. You didn't know this was going to be like a comedy video at the same time. And number 3, what I would do is I would actually develop an affirmation. Okay, especially if you're experiencing this, you're experiencing that needy state, you're experiencing I don't have a job, I need a job and stuff like that. What I would do is develop an affirmation around it. And this is the power of affirmations. Like listen guys, I'm not talking about you say a blanket affirmation that means nothing. Okay, that's why affirmations don't work. It's because you're just saying words that don't mean anything to you. Okay. Like, for example, what I would say if I needed a job, and I would say the affirmation when I would start feeling, when I would have like worry, doubt, and fear creep in. I would start worrying about paying bills, worrying about doing things, you know what I mean? Worrying, like needing, okay. Once I would start feeling that way, I would say an affirmation. The guys, don't overthink this stuff, okay? Off the top of my head, this is what I would say, is that I have the best job in the world. I love where I work. You see what I'm doing? I'm saying an affirmation like I already have it, okay? And then, but what I would do is almost say this robotically, but only when you have that feeling state come on, only when you have that worry come on, that doubt come on, that, you know, you feel like, oh, you know, then you say it, okay? You say, I love what I do. I love where I work. You know what I mean? That's all I would say. Now for you, that might trigger me. That might pull me out of that state I'm feeling. But that's what you got to do. You got to say something that pulls you out of that state. Okay, that's so important to do that. Okay, like for example, I'll say things now outside of the job market. You know, like if you struggle with making decisions, you know what I mean? You're very indecisive, over analytical. I would say stuff like, my decisions make me millions. Okay, if you're a runner, you run, you don't remain in a fire. You know, when worried out, fear creep in, you want to run back to safety. I say things like, when I remain, I always win. You know what I mean? When I remain in the fire, I always win. I say stuff like that because that's kind of using affirmations in the right way. I'm waiting for me to have that feeling state, what I'm specifically worried about, and I have something I say that pulls me out of that state. Okay, same thing. If I start worrying about work, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, my business is booming. Everybody wants to work with me. When I start worrying about YouTube, I'm the king of YouTube, baby. I'm the king of my niche. You know, I say these things over and over and over, but only when I'm in that worry state about that specific thing. That's what you got to do when you're worried about a job. When you're in that kind of gunk phase a little bit, my friends, is saying, no, I love my job. I love my career. I love what I do. Okay. You know what I mean? Because it puts you in a state that you already have. Then when you put them all 3 together, look at what you're doing. When you put these all 3 together, you're behaving like you already have. Okay. Your subconscious mind thinks you're not jobless because you're still behaving just like you're going to work. You're still behaving just like you have. Okay. That's the key. That's what speeds up time. Okay. What slows it down is what you're experiencing right now. What slows it down is you stop everything. You start letting worry, doubt, fear creep in. You lower your standards of boundaries. Okay. You act like scarcity. Okay. You act like you can't go out and get a coffee. Okay. Then that produces that scarcity feeling state, that produces that I don't have a job, and you start worrying, and it keeps you in that state, my friends.
Really quick here, friends. Do you want a challenge that's going to make every dream of yours come true?
You see, my friends, the issue is when you start trying to live life on your terms, you're doing everything right. See, that's the problem. That's how you feel. You're trying your hardest, but nothing is changing. Now, in the challenge, there's no fluff, there's no hype. It's just real transformation delivered daily. We are going to the core. We are going to the root cause why things are not working for you. All you got to do is go to the description, click see more. Everything will pop up and you will see the 30-day breakthrough challenge. Click the link and it will take you right over to that. Now, with part 2 of this video, how does this relate to manifesting in general? I mean in general, okay, because this is such an excellent example. Is even if you haven't really experienced being jobless, or it's been difficult to look for a job or whatever, you're in between, okay? But this can be related to anything. Okay, just like if you want your dream house, your dream car, you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you want your dream career, whatever you want more money, you want to be a millionaire. Okay, listen, the whole key is you got to act like how you would act like if you already have your dream house. Okay, you got to sit down, you got to do, listen guys, you, most of you are not doing the homework. Most of you just say, well, Chad, just tell me what to do, but you don't even follow it. Okay, most of you got to sit down and figure this stuff out for you. Meaning, like, how would you really act if you already had your dream house? I mean, how would you really act? What time would you be waking up? How would you be dressing? Where would you be going? Like, what type of places would you hang out? What type of hobbies would you have? What type of friends would you have? You know what I mean? And you got to start acting like that right now today. Okay? Stop giving me extreme examples with this. Well, Chad, I can't just go out and buy my dream house right now. I can't just go out and buy my dream car. Dude, you're missing the whole point. Okay? It's about acting like that most successful version of you. Okay, that's what you got to figure out. That's your homework in this after this video. Is you got to figure out, how would I really act? Just like if you don't have a job. See, when you don't have a job, it's easy because all you're doing is mimicking your routine when you do have a job. That's all you're doing. Okay, you're just mimicking, you're just mirroring your routine like you have a job. Okay, you're still doing everything the same, and that's what speeds it up. Okay, but what you got to do is you relate this mirroring to if you want your dream house. Now, the only thing with your dream house is you got to become a better version of you. So you got to figure out, what would the most successful version of me do? Okay. What would the most successful version of me do if I already have my dream car, which is $250,000? Okay. Okay. How would I act? I go through the same thing. What would I be doing? How would I be dressing? Blah, 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 blah. If I'm a millionaire, how would I act if I was a millionaire? How would I act around money if I was a millionaire? Okay. Okay. How would the most successful version of me act? What would I be doing? Okay. Listen, guys, special money is a good one. Is because, when I pay my bills, would I be stressed out about paying my bills if I was a millionaire? Well, probably not. Okay. Now, maybe I have bigger bills. Okay. But at the same time, I'm not going to be stressed out about it. I'm just going to be like, okay, pay it off. Okay. Okay. Another thing is, if you're a millionaire, you're not going to be picking and choosing what you want to do. Most of the time, like for example, let's say you want to go to a movie. Okay. Let's say you want to go to a movie, plus you want to go out to eat. What would a millionaire version of you do? You would do both. If you only, okay, we're going to go out to eat first, and we're going to go to a movie. Then after the movie, we're going to go back and have a couple drinks. Okay. The millionaire version of you is going to do all three. Make sense? They're not going to pick and choose. So that's what you need to do right now today. Stop picking and choosing. Okay. Now you might sit there and argue with me and say, well, Chad, I'm under a tight budget. I can't do all three. Okay. And I agree with you to a point. Listen to this. But maybe you can't do it all the time, but you can do it once a month. You know what I mean? You can do it once a quarter. Okay. You can do like once every 3 months. You plan, and you go out to eat, you go to a movie, after the movie you go out, have a couple beers. Okay, to play pool, whatever you want to do. Okay, you can still do it. You might not be able to do it at the level you really want, but you can still do it. You can still feel it. You're still walking through the steps, behaving like that most successful version of you. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying go in credit card debt and do this stuff, but what I'm saying is you have to do it. You understand? See, that's why I figured out. I mean, like if I'm a millionaire, if I'm the $15 million man, I'm a multi-millionaire, not just a millionaire, I'm a multi-millionaire. Like I live in Thailand right now. I've traveled back and forth between Thailand in the United States, but I go back and visit family in the United States. My car and everything is back in the United States. But the multimillionaire version of me would, when I start thinking about housing and houses and stuff like that, I would just look at it as, okay, I'll have a place in Thailand, I'll have a place in Dubai, and I'll have a place in the United States. See, that's that millionaire version of me would think like that. They're not picking and choosing. They're just thinking, well, I'm in Thailand so much. I'll just buy a house in Thailand. Then I have a house in the United States. Then I want to live in Dubai. I'll get a house over in Dubai because I always go back and forth between Thailand anyway because my girlfriend is Thai and her family's here also. So I'll just have 3 houses in 3 different countries. You know what I mean? That's that millionaire version of me. That's that most successful version of me. That's how you would actually think. You wouldn't think scarcity thinking, well, if I buy a house in Thailand, I can't get one in the United States. If I buy a house in Thailand, I can't get one in Dubai. No. You're supposed to act like the most successful version of you. The most successful version of you is rich, so you would have a house in all 3 countries. That's how you would think. Honestly. Now I'm thinking high. It might be over how you're thinking, but it's the same level if you're trying to decide, do we go out to eat or go to a movie? Okay, you want to do both. You understand what I'm saying. So as we wrap up this video, because I don't want this video to be too long, because I know you got my point, but as we wrap up this video, you have to do some homework in here. Now, I can give you ideas. I can give you ideas like what I do and stuff like what works for me and stuff like that. But you have to do the homework. Without me kind of coaching you and mentoring you, talking to you in person, or you're emailing me back and forth so I know what's going on with you, without me kind of doing that, you got to do the homework. You got to figure out how would the most successful version of me act? What would I be doing? What are my standards and boundaries and non-negotiables? Okay, how would I act if I had my dream house, my dream car, my dream job, my dream career? You know, and you start mimicking that. That's what speeds up time. That's what speeds up manifestation. Is because you right now, in the now moment, in the present moment, you're acting and behaving like that most successful version of you. That's what speeds up time. Okay, my friends? Just like if you don't have a job, what speeds up time is you mirroring that you already have a job. Because it's easy to mirror because all you're doing is mirroring what you were doing when you had a job, and you're keeping that same exact routine because that tricks your subconscious mind that you already have, and it speeds up time. Okay, my friends? But other than that, just want to share that with you guys. Comment below. I'd love to hear you. Love to hear your thoughts on this one. You know what I mean? We'll try to chat it up in the comments. Other than that, remember, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.